While Metro Vancouver home sales activity continued to trend below historical averages, we did see a sharp rebound in sales activity in February relative to January. And this makes sense because, as you recall in the previous video, I mentioned how we started seeing a lot more buyers coming out and making offers on property, but that didn't translate to the sales that we saw in January. So what exactly is happening in Metro Vancouver's housing market? I'm Adina with Adina YVR Vancouver Real Estate Group and Oakland Realty, here with your March 2026 market update. Let's jump right into the numbers and take a look at what's happening. Let's start off with sales. In the month of February, Greater Vancouver Realtors reported 1,648 homes sold on the MLS. This is an increase of almost 50% relative to January, yet it's still down about 10% below this time last year, and it's down 29% below the 10-year sales average for the month of February. Let's take a look at how this breaks down by property segments. For the detached home segment, we had 427 homes sold. This is a decrease of 10.5% relative to this time last year. For attached townhomes and duplexes, we had 387 homes sold. This is an increase of 8% relative to this time last year. And for condo apartments, we had 824 homes sold. This is a decrease of 16% relative to this time last year. On the supply side, sellers were a little slower at bringing the properties onto the market. We had 4,734 homes newly listed for sale on the MLS in the month of February. This is a decrease of 8% relative to January. It's down 6% relative to this time last year, and it's 7% above the 10-year sales average for the month of February. When we look at total inventory, by the end of the month, we still had 13,545 homes listed on the MLS. So this means buyers had 7% more homes to choose from than January, 6% more than this time last year, and were 37% above the 10-year sales average for the month of February. So overall, even though sales are on the rise, buyers still have more selection to choose from than they typically do this time of year. So the big question everyone always wants to know is, how is this impacting prices? And if you recall, to understand what's happening with prices, we want to look at the ratio between supply and demand, and specifically our sales to active listings ratio. This looks at the number of sales in a given month divided by the active listings left over at the end of that month. When this ratio is above 20% for a sustained period of time, prices are typically on their way up. And when this ratio is below 12% for a sustained period of time, prices are on their way down. Anything in between is balanced market territory, and prices typically stabilize. If you recall, in January we were at a 9% sales to active listings ratio, so prices seem to be on their way down. But now in February we bounced back up to 12.6%, meaning we've come back into balanced market territory where prices are expected to stabilize. And this puts us back in line with where we were in December when the ratio was 12.7%, yet it's still below this time last year when we were at 14.8%. Looking at this by property type, we see that the ratio for detached homes is 9%. So it's still in buyer's market territory, but this is up from 6.9% in January, and it's back to December levels when we were at 9.3%. For attached townhomes and duplexes, the ratio bounced up to 16.5%, meaning we're back in balanced market territory. And this is up from 11% in January and up from 14.6% in December. For condo apartments, the ratio also bounced back up to 14.1%, again in balanced market territory, and this is an improvement from January when we were at just 10.3%. Yet it's still a little bit lower than we were in December when we were at 15%. So overall, the key takeaway is that we need to pay close attention to what happens in the market in the next few months. While the sales to active listings ratio has improved noticeably relative to January, we're still right on the cusp between a buyer's market and a balanced market. So whether prices stabilize or come down will really depend on what happens in activity in the market in the next few months. So let's take a look at prices. The HPI composite benchmark price for all property types is now at $1,100,300. This is a decrease of 0.1% relative to January, and it's a decrease of 6.8% relative to this time last year. Looking at this by property type, we see that for detached homes, the HPI benchmark price is currently $1,835,900. This represents a decrease of 0.8% relative to January, and it's a decrease of 8.8% relative to February last year. For attached townhomes and duplexes, the HPI benchmark price is currently $1,046,100, and this represents a decrease of 0.3% relative to January, and it's a 5.6% decrease relative to February last year. And for condo apartments, the HPI benchmark price is currently $708,200. This is a decrease of 0.5% relative to January, and it's a decrease of 6.8% relative to February last year. Looking at the big picture with everything that's going on in the world right now, both politically, economically, and socially, it's almost resounding how resilient our market continues to be. And really what we're seeing in the market is that people who are moving right now are people who need homes to live in. So it's families who are upsizing, people who are downsizing, and just people trying to keep up with their daily demands and their lifestyle changes. And in many ways, these are healthy signs for us to be seeing in our marketplace. And it's almost a new normal for Vancouver's housing market, which for years was driven also by speculation and investment. If you're thinking of making a move this year and want to understand your options, whether you're thinking to move up the market, get into the market, or downsize, you're welcome to schedule a consultation with our team. You could click the link below here if you're watching this on YouTube, or you could click the link in my bio if you're watching this on Instagram. And to stay up to date with what's happening in the market, be sure to hit subscribe here on YouTube and follow me on Instagram at adina.ybr. That's it for now. Have a great rest of the month, and I can't wait to see you in April.